Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to finally get started the bookshelf tours of 2025. I've been promising you this for, well, it's actually been a couple of years to do an updated shelf tour, but haven't gotten around to it. And I thought, I am on spring break for school, and what better time than now? And where I thought I would start my bookshelf tour is in what I would probably deem the pride and joy of my entire collection. I'm going to start it off with the Lincoln shelves. And so these first, however many shelves there are here, these first, let's just say 8 videos are all going to be Lincoln books. So if you don't care about Lincoln books, you might want to, wait a few shelves down the line. But anyway, these are going to be the shelf tours of 2025, and as I said, starting with Lincoln books. I am going to start this shelf right here is a kind of a narrower shelf versus the other shelves. I'm gonna, if I've read the Lincoln book, I'm gonna tell you what I remember about it and if I liked it or didn't like it. And then there's gonna be plenty of these I haven't read yet, just because I've been able to collect quite a few, and I like to, get my reading in many other areas, not just Lincoln. And so I haven't read all of them. So anyway, without further ado, let's kick off the 2025 shelf tours with this first shelf of Lincoln books. And right off the get-go, we get a book that was sent to me by Steve Donahue that from this last summer, Lincoln Caricature. And this is descriptive commentary by Rufus Rockwell Wilson, introduction by Gerald McMurtry, and it is exactly what it says. It's newspaper caricatures and, telling about the different political cartoons that dealt with Abraham Lincoln. There is a bunch in here. And I am super pumped to be able to, when I find the time, to sit down and look at this, because I just think that's going to be super cool. So I have not read it yet, but I always like to bring out political cartoons with my kids at school, because they help tell the context of what's going on in the time period. You can learn a lot from them, and I like to have them try to analyze the political cartoons. And now that we are heading towards April and May, it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, they got to gather evidence and show their learning and do produce a bunch of stuff in their portfolio. There we go. I went blank on that word. But they got to create portfolios all about the Civil War. And I know one of the things that we have them do is they got to find a political cartoon, and they have to analyze the political cartoon and explain everything that's going on in the cartoon. And so that'll be wonderful for that unit. The next book that I have here is a Harold Holzer book, Lincoln, President-elect, Abraham Lincoln, and the Great Secession Winter of 1860 to 1861. And this is from Simon & Schuster. It is a... if you know anything about Harold Holzer, all of his books are just absolutely wonderful. He's just a great Lincoln historian. This is from 2008, and I have read this one. This ranks right up there as one of my favorite Lincoln books that I've read, and it deals with from the election all the way through the winter till when he gets inaugurated as president, and how he handles all of the different situations that James Buchanan throws him into. And he's done a whole bunch of speeches up to this point, and he's trying to let his work do the talking instead of going out on the speaking circuit and making a bunch of errors. He says, go back and find my work, and so he's dealing with not only people trying to draw him out, the press trying to draw him out so that they can misconstrue what he has to say, but he's also having to start planning his cabinet and bring in all of the big names to serve with him so that they can save the Union. And I just thought this was an absolutely wonderful book. If you haven't read it, that should be on your list if you're looking for Lincoln stuff. This next one is another Harold Holzer book. It's Lincoln, How Abraham Lincoln Ended Slavery in America. It's a companion book for young readers for the Steven Spielberg film Lincoln, which I do have out in the living room. That movie is absolutely awesome. It's all about kind of centered around getting the 13th Amendment passed before the war ends, because if you don't get it passed, who knows if we might have slavery come back. And so this is the young reader's companion to that. I thought it was very, very well done, very easy to understand for younger readers. This is something my middle schoolers, my better readers, if they put the time in, they could read this and totally understand what's going on. But really good book. It is from 2012, and it's a Newmarket Press, which is an imprint of HarperCollins books. Recommend that one as well. The next one I've actually got a couple copies of. It's Citizen of New Salem by Paul Horgan. Did I read this one? Oh, I can't remember if I read this one or not. It's from Farrar Straus Coude out of New York City, and it is... Hang on a minute. 1961. As I said, I got two copies of this, but and it's all about his life in New Salem, which is the really tiny town, little village that he lived in right before he got into politics. Right after he left his father's farm, that's where he landed, and he made a life for himself. And pretty good little story there. All right. The Last Lincoln Conspirator, John Surratt's Flight from the Gallows. And so this is getting into the assassination stuff. I have not read this. This is a newer one. I can't remember if somebody sent this one to me or if I found it somewhere. I can't remember. But Andrew C.A. Jampoler is the author. It's from the Naval Institute Press out of Annapolis. And it is a 2008 book. And of course, John Surratt, took off running so he wouldn't have to be hanged. And Mary Surratt ended up getting hanged. And, just kind of a weird deal how all of that went down. But anyway, it's all about, John Surratt. Next one, I haven't read this one either. It's Lincoln and the American Manifesto by Alan Jane. And got a neat little cover to it there. This one is from Prometheus Books. And it is a 2007 book. In this compelling study of the moral principles that profoundly influenced the thinking of Abraham Lincoln, Cambridge historian Alan Jane argues persuasively that Lincoln regarded the Declaration of Independence as the American Manifesto. To Lincoln, the Manifesto of 1776 mandated the abolition of slavery with the ideals of God-given individual liberty and government created to protect that liberty. I'm not going to read any more because I think that kind of tells the story. So it's putting together Lincoln's, basically his philosophy. So I'm going to try to hurry here. It sounds like my daughter got up from her nap, so it might not be so quiet. So let me keep going here. All right, so this is A Rose for Mrs. Lincoln by Dawn Langley Simon. And I have not read this one either. It is from the Beacon Press out of Boston. And it's a 1970 book. Continuing right across, here is a biography that's going to be one of the next ones up on my list. It's a big name in Lincoln scholarship. It's A. Lincoln, a biography by Ronald C. White, Jr. And I know there's a lot of people out there who've read this one. I have not read it yet. I've had it sitting on my shelf for a couple of years. It is definitely time to get that knocked out. I've been trying to knock out some of these big Lincoln biographies that I've had for a while. It's a Random House book out of New York, and it was done in the year 2009. And so there you go. That's a big, thick one. Couple left here. All right, the next one again, dealing with the assassination. This is the Lincoln Murder Conspiracies by William Hanchett. And it says, being an account of the hatred felt by many Americans for President Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War and the first complete examination and refutation of the many theories, hypotheses, and speculations put forward since 1865 concerning those presumed to have aided, abetted, controlled, or directed the murderous acts of John Wilkes Booth in Ford's Theater the night of April 14th. So there you go. This is all about the conspiracies, and I think that's going to be very interesting. I enjoy reading about the, I don't enjoy the assassination. That sounds terrible, but I enjoy learning about it. It's from the University of Illinois Press, and it is from 1983. This is a 1986 copy. So yeah, glad to have that. The next one, The Case of Abraham Lincoln, a story of adultery, murder, and the making of a great president by Julie M. Finster, forward by Douglas Brinkley. And I was trying to remember, this is one, I couldn't remember if I had read this one or not. I wanted to say, well, I got a bookmark in here, so maybe I started it and didn't finish it. Maybe that's what the case is. Maybe I had to put it back down. Let's see, this is from Palgrave Macmillan, and it is from 2007. And then the last one on this small shelf here is something that I do believe this was Todd over at the Bursting Bookshelf, or the Bursting Bookcase. I can't remember. I need to go check that, make sure of the name. But Todd lives up in Minnesota. He had sent me boxes and boxes of books, and I was very happy to receive those. And I'm pretty positive this was in the pile of books, and it's a box set of, and you can see it's not in the greatest of condition on the as far as the box goes. It's the Lincoln Papers by David C. Mearns, and has an introduction by Carl Sandburg. So I've got both volumes there. I don't want to pull them out because I don't want to tear anything up. But let's see. The story of the collection with selections to July 4th, 1861. Yeah, just real happy. I'm going to dig through it one of these days and dig through the Lincoln Papers, and that's just a collection of them. Really neat historiography over Lincoln. So, put that back on there. All right, so there you go, BookTube. There is the first shelf in the 2025 shelf tours, as promised. I know there were a lot of people, a lot of subscribers and viewers who were, requesting me to get it going, and especially the Lincoln collection. So I thought I would kill two birds with one stone, show the Lincoln collection and get the shelf tours going. So there you go. I'm going to try to make that a regular, at least once a week item on the channel, and who knows how long that's going to take to get through it. I might have enough for one shelf every week of the year. But anyway, BookTube, thank you for watching. I hope you maybe found some Lincoln titles that would interest you. And until next time, happy reading.